RTD Live Talk, Detroit's #1 YouTube talk show. We are live for a Friday edition of the People's Talk Show. Excited to connect, looking forward to finding out what's on your radar. And it looks like within the next, say, 48, 72 hours more likely, we'll have some information coming out from the Federal Reserve as to what they're going to do about fighting inflation or just continue to job on and just talk their way through this correction slash collapse slash restructuring. But anyway, couple articles I want to touch on. Other than that, I hope everyone's doing well. No Mike and Mario today, as you guys can tell, due to schedule conflicts or whatnot. But looking forward to connecting. As always, I want to make sure I provide an opportunity for those that are tuning in, whether new or old. Let me know where you're watching from via the chat. And then when the phone lines open up, 313-462-0027 is the number that you can call and let your voice be heard. And so let's jump right in the chat real quick. Give a couple shout outs, welcome a few people, then dive into the articles. A lot of interesting headlines, subject matter. And at the bottom foundation of everything we're going to talk about, it has to do with confidence. And as long as people are confident that the politicians or the monetary influencers are able to control, stabilize things, things will remain relatively the same. But the moment confidence is lost and people really realize the magnitude of what's going on, that's when things will go sideways, to say the least. Anyway, we got Full of Hope checking in. Says, is anyone watching gold? We definitely going to check the metals. We got Dude Boy. We got Ed checking in. Jesus is Lord, 100%. We got Tim Goodson checking in. Said the Fed is going bust. So here, and this is the thing. Like, of course, I love following a lot of alternative media. Whether it be just bloggers, economists, authors, professors, you name it. I mean, we all have our favorites of people that we learn from because it's always good to connect from multiple sources and put it all together for yourself. But in regards to the Fed is going bust, the Fed is already, in my personal opinion, they're already done. The moment that they basically broke the only, or when they actually defaulted on their own mandates of the fictitious 2% inflation that they are shooting for, and then lying all the way towards this current point of 7.5, which is also fake. That's when, the game was up. Now it's just a matter of them trying to, play the narrative that they can control things, because technically speaking, this contract with the people has already been defaulted upon. So it's just a matter of how things play out, in my opinion. But I can share more of my 2 cents on that in a minute. We got Roll King 64 from Maryland checking in. We got Faith Parent. We got Kenneth, Monkey King, JK. We got Taylor Webb, DC Precise, Full of Hope, Will Smith from Houston. We got Mark Jenkins says today's result, $7.50 call on HUT, 80%, 750 HUT, HUT 300%. Mark, shine some light on that, my friend. Let us know exactly what all those numbers are referring to. Says, watching from the mostly free state of Texas. Chad Knight, we got Yukon, Mike over here checking in. Says, Mike, are banks using our savings account as collateral and borrowing from the repo market? I believe so. So all those reserves that, mind you, April 2020, they no longer had to have capital restrictions as far as the reserve they had to keep, which all those funds, in order for them to make somewhat of a profit, they go out and buy government debt instruments and park it at the Fed and all that, interbank overnight repo craziness. So ultimately true. It's very true. The funds that we all think are located in those banks are not really there. They're parked on the Federal Reserve's ledger. And of course, mind you, majority, all of those digits that we see on a screen are not real. They're not really, instruments that can be converted into paper or coinage for you to be able to withdraw upon demand. So I think it's maybe, I got to probably check, but I want to say, I'm not sure what the latest M2 figures are, but definitely there's a lot more digital versions of the dollar than there are physical paper instruments. And based upon this upcoming hypothetical global recessionary event that the Fed is testing for with the banks, they're preparing for something. So I got a lot of interesting thoughts on that, man. Okay, I'm gonna save some. We got JoJo checking in. Okay, fair amount of people checking in. Let's jump right in. So let me just, of course, scan through. Let me share my screen real quick. Share my 2 cents on some things. Talk about what's happening. And so, of course, as of now, it's 408 in the green. 2360 for silver, 1861 for gold. Definitely positive. But once again, don't let those numbers really get you too overconfident, because, like always, we're experiencing a global liquidity situation here. So when there is a sell-off, those numbers on the screen will definitely head down. And so, of course, looking at a lot of the TA guys and those numbers, when the stock market sell off, metals sell off, all agricultural stuff will sell off. And that'll be the complete decoupling of the fake paper and physical realm, in my opinion, because, of course, premiums going to go through the roof. But, okay, in the green now, take it for what it's worth. But those numbers are going to trend down when there is a deflationary bursting of the bubble. So, but anyway, take it where you can get it. All right, let's jump right into what's going on with the Fed. So here's an interesting article from Zero Hedge. The Fed scrambles to push back against damage caused by bullards, quote, immature, unprofessional comments. So this spurs from yesterday after those 7.5 figure came out, and it looks like some of the Federal Reserve board members were not on the same page, or they're deliberately doing this to set some stuff up. But anyway, as you guys can see here, the markets responded very, unfavorably for the future forward guidance that the Fed likes to still control with their jawboning. And so here we have just a visual aid here. And it says the standard deviation of the U.S. 2-year daily change versus rolling 12-month move, highest since Volcker intermeeting weekend cut in October 1979. So this is a nice little long historical chart here showing how prior to, when all Federal Reserve board members were on par with what they were speaking about, everything was remaining calm. But Bullard basically came out and jumped the gun too soon by basically saying that the Federal Reserve will definitely need to have a much more greater interest rate hike other than your typical quarter. And he was talking about, possibly having a single point by July 1st, give or take. And of course, I think between now and that time frame, there's, I think, 3 or 4 meetings, which means that they're going to have to do more than a quarter point to get that type of result. But anyway, so just, the yield curve inversion, stuff like that. And so ultimately what this boils down to, it says, while the Fed funds futures market was at one point predicting not just 100% certainty of a 50 basis point rate hike in March and more than 7 rate hikes for all of 2022, but also a 30% odds for an intermeeting rate hike as soon as today or tomorrow, example. And so basically by Bullard coming out, jumping the gun, he set off the narrative, which led to the Federal Reserve responding with the idea that this upcoming Monday, they're going to be meeting to talk about some things. And of course, we know what they're going to be pretending to talk about on how they can fight inflation. But mind you, they're not trying to fight inflation, because inflation is a tool to get us through this system into the next. So they're going to do some things, and they may come out with the result of some type of early hike or of some kind, a quarter, 50, whatever basis points. Okay, it doesn't matter. It's too late. Game over. But anyway, so the Federal Reserve this upcoming Monday will be meeting, and then at the end of the meeting, they'll release the information as to what their decisions or what the whole conversation was all about, and the markets will respond probably favorably. But as of now, no matter what, the overall confidence in their ability to maintain the narrative of having control is gone. And the primary indicator for confidence in this Ponzi unraveling happens to be in what I think is a big deal. And this has to do with consumer sentiment falls a stunning, as it says here, 8.2% in February. So what that means is 500 or so people are surveyed on basically their confidence in the financial and economic conditions. I think it's two surveys for the most part, one real, then one assumed or something like that. And so just to give you an idea, out of the University of Michigan, consumer sentiment index for February released today showed a stunning drop of 8.2% from January. It says the overall index now stands at 61.7, down from 67.2 a month earlier, and 19.7% below what it was a year ago. So to show you what that looks like, let's just take a look at the graph here. And so this is the overall the confidence that you and I have in the monetary authorities, as well as the political shenanigans that's going on in DC. But as we can see, since the complete shutdown of the global economy, there was an upward trend of confidence. And might I add that these blips in confidence here from say 74 up to 81-ish, and then of course these jolt upwards, more than likely had something to do with the fact that people were being stimulated in the form of checks and things like that, which definitely, if somebody stimulates you by sending you something labeled as free, you're going to go spend it. So that makes you feel a little bit more confident that things are heading in the right direction. But mind you, the public really hasn't been stimulated in almost a year. I think the last one was Biden's little American Care Act, which was March of last year. So next month, it'll be a year since the people were officially stimulated outside of the tax credit crap. But so as of right now, as you guys can see here, this boy is at 61.7, which ultimately reveals that confidence is damn near as low as it was back in 2011-ish. And you know what we were coming out of back during that time frame. So just a little peek into your average Joe on the street and what they're feeling. They're not too confident. And once again, this entire Ponzi scheme nature of our financial monetary world order all depends upon confidence that people will be able to continue to earn these and spend these and save these and use these to invest at the same time that the parties involved with this contract that I'm holding in my hand, they've already reneged upon their contract. So just something that, of course, we'll find out more about as the time moves forward. But anyway, a couple more articles here, then I'll stop rambling and I will open up the mic to hear from you guys directly. Let me see here. What else we got here? Okay, so I couldn't help but just not notice this as well. On top of the confidence game, what would emergency intermeeting Monday Fed meeting be without also including a stress test for the banks to weather a recession? Oh, what recession? Everything is fine. We're recovering. It couldn't be better. People are employed and working and all that stuff that they try to sell us, But Federal Reserve to test ability of the largest banks. And mind you, as I always say, everything we're experiencing, everything the Federal Reserve do, the Federal Reserve is basically, it's a front company. It's a front operation. It's a cartel type institution designed to be a cover for the too big to fail banks. Mind you, 8 of the too big to fail banks, I think 6 of them, have shares in the Federal Reserves and all the 12 branches across the country. And so they're testing their ability to handle a global shock, which, in my personal opinion, already occurred about 2.5 years ago. And that started about September 2019 when QE officially restarted again. And those funds have been trickled into the banking sector to prop things up. And of course, within the last week or two, we talked about the 29 trillion that was put in circulation from, great financial crisis. And of course, the, 80, 90 trillion since then with the reverse repos that will not be repaid. But anyway, just to give you an idea what's going on here, I think this is important because I'm going to make some statements in a moment that might not be a surprise, but the way I'm going to word it might be a shock to some. It says, let me zoom in so I can make sure you guys can see what I see when I say what I say. Stress tests will feature a scenario. What is it about these exercises, these test runs that they love doing? From the cyber attacks to the upcoming stress tests of the banks, we got the war exercises in all the countries around the world, yada, yada, yada. Okay. You just can't make this stuff up. Stress tests will feature a scenario in which markets seize up. Markets seize up. Wow. Okay. It's a great scenario. And unemployment jumps to 10%. So these two key factors here, market seize up, unemployment skyrockets. Now, mind you, they're testing for this because everything that they've told us to this point is built upon lies. So as I mentioned before, the markets, technically speaking, based upon all of the accommodative policies, the banking tools used to provide confidence with the Fed looking to open up, spending windows for all types of institutions, that would probably indicate to me that the market seized up a long time ago, and through back doors and through all these products and all types of things that are just so complicated, the Federal Reserve has been providing support, preventing us finding out that the markets have already seized up, but probably officially, but of course unofficially at this current moment. And of course, unemployment numbers, was 3.94%, whatever you want to, whatever you want to believe, but just drive around to your local store, everybody's hiring. So something's going on with that. But this is what's going on. Anyway, just give it an idea what's going on. And I'll stop rambling. It says the so-called stress test conducted annually to see how banks will react to a drastic market and economic shock will feature a scenario in which a severe global recession leads to heightened stress in commercial real estate and corporate debt markets. Okay, heightened stress. It says in a severely adverse scenario, U.S. unemployment rises nearly 6 percentage points to a nearly 10% in the third quarter of next year. It says the large increase in unemployment is accompanied by a 40% decline in commercial real estate prices and widening corporate bond and spreads, and a collapse in asset prices, including increased market volatility. So once again, they're talking about 40% decline in commercial real estate, but as of right now, I'm not quite sure if you guys have noticed, but it's been under the radar. But since the moratoriums have come off, there has been a large amount of foreclosures in your local neighborhood. So in every major metropolitan area, foreclosures are at a damn near all-time high as well. So here's an article just to give you an idea. Foreclosure activity highest in January since the start of the pandemic. I wonder why. Okay. So yeah, once again, we're being lied to front and center. We all know that. But something that came to mind, and I'll open the phone lines and start ranting. What does the market seize up mean? The market seize up, in my estimation, in my uneducated, I'm not officially an economist. I'm just a person that loves studying monetary and fiscal aspects. But a market seize up would be basically what Bill Halter has been preaching for the last decade that I've been following him, is that there'll be a credit freeze, a credit seizure. The market seize up because everything is built upon, every business, every, financial institution, usually they make their payrolls on a biweekly or whatever, not with their own funds, but they usually go into the financial sector and they borrow to meet overhead costs or whatever, and they keep their capital invested in other things, whatever. So a seize up was basically meaning a credit freeze up, to where the institutions that typically do all the lending, i.e. the too big to fail banks, they would literally probably stop all activity as far as their lending mechanisms. And then because of a collapse, credit collapse, mind you, all that interbanking complicated stuff has to do with funds that nobody really are aware of who owns what and how they own it, because it's all on computerized or computer ledgers or whatnot. So literally a lot of debts will probably be called in immediately to provide liquidity back to the system, and complete pandemonium type of things would happen. So credit cards will stop working, things like that. That's what I imagine when I hear the words market seize up. So basically, it's the equivalent of the financial system coming to a complete halt. And when that happens, bad things occur. So that's just my 2 cents on it. If anybody out there is more certified or credited, or not credited, but got a PhD in economics, want to chime in on that, feel free to do so. I'm all ears. But anyway, so here's what this boils down to. And this is where I'm going to stop ranting and open the phone lines and get your take. But I was thinking about this earlier. So based upon this stress test, like this current stress test is going to be one of a kind, because consumer confidence is winding down. People are feeling more, anxiety or whatnot based upon the price on the shelves when they go do what they do. And you factor in the uncertainties when it comes to employment based on the mandates and all that other stuff, and the desperation in DC. Like literally an hour ago, the White House was talking about all U.S. citizens need to be evacuated within the next 24 to 48 hours out of Ukraine. Even the UK sent out a warning just a minute ago saying all British citizens need to be gone by this weekend. That lets me know that probably next week we could experience some type of shock, some type of jolt in the market that leads to that black. I can't say a black swan because we can kind of predict that something needs to occur, but that event, that trigger towards some type of downward spiral, i.e., markets respond unfavorably, and the fact that we've been primed from the Western media that Russia at any minute now they're waiting. Russia, Putin basically is just like literally, on knocking, ready to knock on Ukraine's door and come on in. That type of narrative, that literally fake news. We're getting so much fake news out of DC that it'd be considered blasphemous to say that our politicians are capable of lying to us. But anyway, to the point. So this stress test is going to be one of a kind because the result of that is basically what they just said they're preparing for: a global recession, market seize up, commercial real estate. They didn't mention anything about, residential real estate or whatnot, as far as your, average Joe in your house. But we see from foreclosures, there's issues there. But what will happen, in my personal opinion, moving forward, this is a prime example of the bail-in model that could possibly be rolled out some point in the future, because every deflationary collapse in the system, in the market, leads to some crazy monetary response. And so when it comes to the average consumer, average retail investor, the great financial crisis introduced the concept of cash back. So as I always show the Fed funds rate, let me actually put that on the screen real quick. And I want to show why this is something worth paying attention to, because let me show this real quick, just because. All right. So here's the Fed funds rate. So every recession leads to a monetary response of basically they need to reestablish confidence by i.e. dropping rates to incentivize lending amongst the institutions. So as of now, we're already at zero. And to fight inflation, you got to take it, as I showed yesterday, to 18.9% to really get things stable. They can't stabilize things, it'll collapse. So what will happen is every recession we've had, there's been some type of new concept introduced to us. So the last concept that was introduced to us after the great financial crisis was NERP. Basically ZERP and NERP. That was introduced to us in the great financial crisis. 0% interest rate in the US, negative in Europe. Now there's no room below zero other than NERP for the US, but you can't do that with the reserve currency, or game is over with, checkmate. That's all she wrote. Everybody mom will get out of debt, government instruments like that, because you are a guaranteed loser. So what they're going to try to do is play the narrative of them being able to increase interest rates, but they really can't, because that'll be problematic as well, because we're experiencing a liquidity crisis as we speak. But then also you think about, we went from NERP to ZERP 10 years ago, haven't left zero. And as a result of that, your average saver was introduced to the concept of cash back, where instead of your funds earning interest, you had to spend to get cash back. So as of now, last 10 years, we've been bombarded with commercials and infomercials about, save on your latest thing, spend, you get cash back. And they literally convince people that spending is a way of earning. That makes sense. So the next ideal thing, if and when, because we're already in nominal negative rates now, technically speaking, we're negative 6.8% in real terms. But nominally speaking here, or notionally speaking here, the Federal Reserve will literally, in order to really try to stimulate confidence by creating, more spending, they would have to go negative. And if they went negative, that is automatically instant bail-in, because at that point, everybody and mother is going to run to try to get some cash out of the bank, because then physical paper would be your last line of defense, because it would literally be, it'll still be losing purchasing power, but not as fast as having it parked in banks. And so bail-ins are pretty much in the near future, because confidence is gone. People are going to literally start dumping all their financial products that they've been sold as being reliable, contracts between you and whatever institution you have it with. So long story short, we went from cash back 10 years ago. People accepted that, to now what's coming next will be bail-ins, because cash will be problematic for the banks, because everybody and their mother would no longer want to park funds in your bank and lose it outright. So this is what's underway, and there's no way around it. The system has to crumble in order for us to be able to try to get back to some form of solvency, normalcy, or something like that. And as much as it bothers me to say this, I would rather it happen now on my watch than continue to kick the can down the road to where my children's children literally would still be, they're still going to be impacted by it. But we'll have a much better chance at this current moment of taking our losses and trying to rebuild so that there'll be some form of stability for the unborn in the future, for whatever that's worth. So anyway, enough of me ranting. Let's talk. Feel free. Just talk. Let's have at it, man. Where am I missing it? And vice versa. And I wasn't gonna do this, but I might as well do it. So here's a little something else I found that, let me see if I can find it. Here's a little, I'm just gonna put it on the screen because I started reading it, but I haven't went through it. But as I said before, I'm not sure, I haven't checked, but the government was supposed to be sending out test kits. And it was like, why would you send out a test kit when people can go directly get tested? And I always say there's something about those tests. Be very leery of those tests. Yeah. And so here's just a little headline that caught my attention. But yet, this could be misinformation, fake news. We'll take it for wherever you want. But Johns Hopkins University confirms it. Now, so, just Google that if you guys are interested in finding out more about that. But, just take that for whatever it's worth. So, yeah, I'm gonna leave that right there. But anyway, let's talk. What's on your mind? Where did I miss it at? Where did I hit it at? All right, here we go. Let me get this call. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mike. It's Mike from Cali.
Mike from Cali. What's going on, my friend? Give me some good news.
All right. So this, you know how you were saying that the cash back was designed to get you out of the system and everything like that?
Uh-huh.
So I think that's what cryptocurrency is right there.
Mm-hmm.
It's a digital vacuum cleaner, bro. It mimics the banking system.
Mm-hmm.
It tethers the Fed. Airdrop is stimulus packages.
Mm-hmm.
The exchanges are forex.
Mm-hmm.
It's lipstick on a pig. It's designed. I don't know. In my opinion, because look, I used to trade. I'm not gonna lie. I still have open positions on this stuff.
Yeah.
I was sold on the digital gold and everything, and the more I educated myself on this, it's the more it's the same. The more things change, the more they stay the same, or whatever, right?
Very true. Good analogy, man. Good way of putting it. So yeah, we're gonna find out. Put it like that. We're gonna find out, but we all know what the ultimate weapon has been, and it's been our national currency. That has been the problem, where it has enticed people of going towards that direction in the first place, because it initially provided the idea of escaping the system. But once again, when it's still pegged in fiat currencies, are you really escaping the system? Because I look at all these non-risk asset type approaches as monetary sponges. Like the spigot's being cut off right now, and it's going to cause problems. Market seize up banking issues, and then the Federal Reserve is going to cut on the water fire hydrants trying to flood the world. And then that's when all those non-risk type assets, such as metals and maybe even crypto, will be a recipient as well. That's when them boys going to act like sponges and absorb all that fake digital stuff, for you to hold until we get into something else. So that's my thought on that.
Yeah, I think just like imagine what is it, $1 trillion market cap? Where would that be in 2008 before cryptocurrencies? Where would that be in the market?
Right.
I think it's it's a digital vacuum cleaner designed to suck up everything that Fed, any little piece that Fed could pull out or put out there. Any piece of debt note that they could throw out of their printing press and their digital printers. Yeah. Any number just can be vacuumed right into the cryptocurrency space. Most of the time, there's incentives to stake and earn and hold it and hodl, and there's the fear of missing out. So I can't sell, so that prevents the liquidity crisis theoretically.
Yeah.
It's all tied together, man.
Hey, man, very true,
it smells like fish. I think it tastes like halibut.
Well, hey, Mike, man, I appreciate you calling and sharing your 2 cents, man.
Yeah, hey, you have a good one. Get your weight up.
I 100% appreciate you, man.
All right, man. Bye.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah. So yeah, and so everything's interconnected. Here's the thing. I haven't really said this, but this is my thoughts. Everything I kind of focus on comes in three categories. Currency, Christ, and this COVID situation. You know what I'm saying, with this mRNA stuff. This is stuff you can't escape. This. That's why I don't talk about it as much just because of all the algorithm stuff. But COVID, currency, and Christ. Getting your spiritual elements in line. And so I see, talking about this, Prince Harry situation. I saw that as well. I shared it on Instagram, I think, and even tell it in Discord. But it's one of the things where it's amazing how those three letters, HIV, is now becoming a focal point for the mainstream news. And then even in Australia, they're actually, I think I saw something about they're stocking their shelves with self-test kits and encouraging people to get tested. It's like, what do you hope to accomplish by that? That's been with us for the last 30, 40 years. And all of a sudden now it's becoming something that we should pay attention to. And of course, this has to do with information out of, I think it's the Netherlands. And so there were one of the most highly, targeted people. And then a variant spun off that I guess activated those three words. So, yeah, I'll just leave that at that. Hello, caller. Where you calling from?
Yeah, Mike, Steve, Freedom Region 9.
Steve, what's going on, my friend?
Man, you touch us so much, man. I think I'm on a spacecraft. You hit it all, man. Dude, the first thing, as far as California is concerned, out here at FEMA Region 9, when those foreclosures hit, the first one to get first dibs, who do you think that's going to be, Mike? Let me tell you, Steve. Well, you tell me, Mike. What do you think that's going to be?
So I heard something about your governor. The governor came in and bought some stuff up apparently to help turn it into some homeless shelter. I mean, they gonna help turn in some empty buildings or something, to homeless shelters or something like that.
Absolutely. So any foreclosures that come up in California, the government gets first dibs to them. They get to pick it over like you're in a grocery store after a storm and there's only one chicken left.
Yeah.
So basically, California gets first dibs, and then after that, I would assume there's probably Goldman Sachs and
BlackRock, Vanguard. Yeah.
So that's what it is.
Yeah.
And actually, I sent you 3 emails, but one of them actually have an article talking about San Francisco. Basically, the homeless thing is so out of whack there that they're basically asking or telling people, take in homeless people into your homes.
Take in homeless people. Take in strangers. Please help us out here. Yeah, let somebody live in your house that you don't know. Okay.
Exactly. Like, you can't even make this stuff up. But there's a newspaper article right there in your email.
I got it on the screen now.
You can't even make this stuff up, man.
Oh, my goodness.
And then with the Super Bowl, what they did, like, because the Niners game down there was basically 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
What they did, the homeless people, they got that new stadium, SoFi Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, but before that Niners game, they had to go and clear all the homeless people out from around that.
Really?
Oh yeah. You can look up a guy. I think his YouTube is German in Venice.
Mm-hmm.
And he was covering that on how they were, basically having to move the homeless out. And we're not talking about 3 blocks.
Yeah.
We're talking about like two blocks and within.
Yeah. I got an article on the screen now. It says homeless encampment near SoFi Stadium cleared away ahead of Super Bowl. So they, if anybody came back, they went back to clear them out. So yeah, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Dude, it's so foul and so disgusting. So they're gonna clear them out for the Super Bowl, and then after the Super Bowl's over, those people, all those homeless people are gonna come back and set up their tents and stuff again within 1 to 2 blocks of that stadium.
Easy. They're coming back. And that's the sad part. So also I'm hearing about, the truck convoy or whatever. They're talking about doing something, circling it or shutting it down or something like that. So I would love, because so many people are distracted with entertainment in this form. I would love for that truck convoy or whatever else in a peaceful, demonstrative way to clog this up to where the Super Bowl is irrelevant, where they can't even have the damn game. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause where people is like pissed and they're forced to recognize what's going on in the streets for real, rather than being distracted by entertainment, man. Oh,
absolutely. The homeless people may rebel and go, wait a minute, you guys let us do up this all the way up into the Super Bowl, and now the Super Bowl's here,
right?
And now you're running us out.
Right.
They may rebel themselves.
Hey, man.
Who knows? But,
hey, Steve, man, let me get a couple more calls. I appreciate you as always for bringing this to our attention, man. Thank you for doing such.
Hey, one last thing too, right before we go there. Did you get the video about Trudeau's brother?
I did. I didn't check it out yet, though. Well, give us a rundown.
Yeah. Basically, Trudeau's brother is asking him to step down, and here's the kicker. Mm-hmm. Now we talked about this a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
We talked about Matthew chapter. We talked about Matthew chapter 4.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, we talked about Matthew chapter 4, where Jesus was literally approached by Satan.
Yeah.
About control of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a couple of days ago. But the video from Trudeau's brother was put out yesterday.
Yeah, is that the guy with the red shirt on?
Yeah.
Okay, I got it on the screen now.
That was put out yesterday. And guess what he talked about?
What?
He brought up Matthew chapter 4.
Really?
And Jesus and the devil approaching Jesus about who's gonna rule the world.
Yeah.
Not only did he bring it up once, he brought it up twice in his interview. And the second time he brought it up, Alex asked him something about his brother, Trudeau, and he basically said, "Well, when my brother went to the mountaintop, he took the deal."
Yeah, he took that handshake from Klaus Schwab. He couldn't refuse.
Yeah. Basically, he said his brother made a deal with the devil.
Yeah.
You can't even make this stuff up.
Right.
You can't. But
hey, man. Appreciate you, man.
That's about it, bro.
Appreciate you, man.
hey, your package is on the way.
Appreciate you.
The tracking stuff later.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
All right, take care.
Yep. Yeah, made a deal with the devil. Yeah. I mean, I actually watched. I don't know. I think I might have shared it, but Klaus Schwab's, World Economic Forum little meeting, whatever. When they introduced Trudeau, Klaus Schwab was given. Let me find it real quick. But Klaus Schwab was given Trudeau all the props, and he appreciates him for being committed to whatever the program is. Let me grab this real quick. And Trudeau. Let me grab this real quick because it was like, at that moment, you could tell. Here we go, right here. This is that video here where basically at this current moment, this is where Klaus Schwab pledged his allegiance. He pledged his allegiance to the World Economic Forum, saying that you can count on Canada. We're going to be there to help initiate this change and take us into the new world. And I'm like, damn, wow. A lot of Canadians, I'm sure they saw it, but I guess it didn't matter. Anyway, let's talk. Hello, Carlos. Where are you calling from?
Damn, wow.
Hello?
A lot of Canadians, I'm sure they saw it, but
going once, going twice. Anybody there?
Let's talk.
Hello?
Hello, Carlos. Where are you calling from?
All right, let's keep it moving. All right, man, lots of stuff going on here. Says what they doing with all the homelessness? Where do they go shopping? I don't know. So here's the thing with that Super Bowl stuff. They clear the homeless out and to do what? Like they just destroy all their stuff and tell them you got to go, or do they relocate them and say, hey, let me have you go on this side of town. We got a building, a parking lot for you, type of thing, or what? That'll be. It'd be interesting to find out that type of stuff. But yeah. Anyways, keep it moving. Man. If it ain't one thing, it's another, people. It is interesting. Oh, and also, yeah, somebody, what's this? Vicious people talking about it. It's a carjacking war zone murdering in Philadelphia. Really. I saw the word carjacking. I saw, like, I think it was in San Diego, San Francisco, where, people are, told to leave your windows down, open your car doors, and because if not, they're going to go through your car anyway. So that's a problem. Can't even park out on the streets without having your car broken into. It says, rethinking I paid off my mortgage today, 38 years old and have no debt. I'm ready to get my weight up. Aaron, congrats, boss man. Way to clean house and position yourself at zero. You're starting over at scratch at zero. And on top of that, everything you do, you're building upon your true wealth because you owe no man but to love him. Good job, man. I think that's definitely worth celebrating right there, man. That's big. Nothing hanging over your head. What else? So it's trying to, okay, let me see here. I'll see. Let me, 1 second. Hello, caller. Where we calling from?
My name is Taylor Webb. I'm calling from Kalamazoo.
Taylor from Kalamazoo?
Yes.
How you doing, Taylor? Well, we got a fellow Michigander. What's going on with you? What's in your mind?
Yes. I'm grateful. I was making a comment from yesterday's Live People Show when you brought up that article with Elon Musk and those satellites that have been going out.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to talk about, not even talk about this book, but just give this book out to shed any light on what is going on maybe up there in the, atmosphere, the ionosphere and all those things. This book is called Angels Don't Play This Harp. Advances in Tesla Technology. And HARP stands for High Active Auroral Research Program.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to, let everybody know about that book and, check that book out because it is definitely informative about some of those science projects and things that are going on in outer space and all that has major effects on our Earth and just everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I want to let you know.
Good deal. I got it on the screen here.
I'm new to this channel and everything.
Appreciate you. So that's by Dr. Nick Begich, if I'm not mistaken, and Gene Manning.
Yeah.
Okay. I got it on the screen. If anybody interested, thank you for sharing that. I definitely wouldn't mind finding out more. I see there's some interviews, it looks like, with the authors. So definitely something worth checking out. So appreciate you.
Yeah, no problem. Appreciate you. You're doing wonderful things. I'm new to the channel and everything, and the history of monies and everything. You're wonderful. So grateful for your service.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Yep.
Bye.
Yep. Peace.
Hello, Carlos. Where we calling from? Hello.
Mike, Tony from Oakland. How you doing, brother?
TB, doing good, my man. What's going on with you, boss?
Oh, it's sunny and 70 out in Cali. One more again.
Man, it's 30 and cold in Michigan, man. Come on now. Don't make me mad now. Come on.
That don't make no sense, right?
Yeah, for real. I should be used to it by now, but I'm tired of it. Anyway, what's going on, man?
The other day I mentioned the USD and the CYN, how it's not moving. And I'm trying to get my hands and my knowledge around that.
Mm-hmm.
But if there is a currency pair not moving, to me, that means there's no trade.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking, and this is my opinion for those out there who think I know everything, I'm thinking that China has cut us off from trade, and we have to get our goods from other sources.
Okay.
Which means that we've got to go outside of China in order to get those goods.
Right.
And when we go outside of China, that builds up outside of the ports of LA, that builds up outside the ports of New York. All these goods that we have to get in that we don't know how long it's going to take or the quality of the goods. It's just China. Their currency pair is not equal anymore for some odd reason, and it's been that way for over a year that I know of, but it's been slowly dwindling since 2014.
Yeah.
If that is the case, then we're in a world of hurt.
Yeah, 100%. And that's why.
Because
okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Because if our shipping with China and our dollar denominated, we can't get dollars out, and other countries are starving for dollars. But, they don't have the kind of goods that China issues out. And right. China you notice China's surplus is over the top.
Mm-hmm.
The way they ship out is over the top. It's like 8. Their growth is like 8%.
Yeah.
But there's no movement in the money. What are they doing with that 8%? Who are they shipping that to? Other countries, in order for the U.S. to buy from other countries.
Right, but also I've heard about them deciding to withhold things, i.e. grain and things like that, because, this is just me hearing from other people out there floating around, but, they're withholding things in anticipation of going long periods of times where there's, logistical, geopolitical, or monetary issues where they can't afford to let stuff leave because they got, 1.something billion people to feed. So they're not letting things freely flow out of the country anymore. So that could also probably factor into that situation as well.
They're making everything. They're bringing in soy. They're bringing in grains.
Mm-hmm.
They're bringing in wheat. But that's what they need for their country. That's the trade agreement we have.
Yeah.
If we have that trade agreement, it's up to me to honor that trade agreement.
Yeah.
And the U.S. is complaining about China not honoring their trade agreement. But if I cut you off because you ain't paying me no money, of course I'm not going to honor that trade agreement.
Or I no longer want to accept what you're trying to pay me in.
True. And the Fed is, I'm almost got you convinced how irrelevant they are. They ain't even a bank, Mike.
Oh, no. So I was saying, I know that it's a criminal mafia cartel, like cover-up type of situation designed to be a front for the globally systemic important banks. But it's just that they are the controller and issuer of what happens to be our current national currency for whatever it's worth. And so I guess what they do say plays heavily in how the markets respond and things like that, which ultimately impacts, our lives down to the very, dollar we earn. Or
No. It is my understanding, and I've heard Powell say this several times, so I'm just telling you what I heard him say.
Okay.
Is the fact that the Federal Reserve Bank is the lender of last resort, not the buyer of last resort.
Mm-hmm.
They can only lend money, and they can't lend it out to the public. They have to get BlackRock to do that.
Right.
So, everybody's talking about the Fed is spending money. No, they aren't spending money. They're just trying to keep the economy afloat.
Right.
And they can't do it because nobody wants the dollar. That's why you see markets that acting the way they are. It's like, you're up. They purchase in the overnight. You see they're up 300-400 in the overnight.
Mm-hmm.
But by the time they get to closing time, it's like down 400, 500, 700.
Yeah.
They're trying to blow the market up in order to save us. Because if you look at the 10-year bond, the 10-year bond dropped 10 yesterday, 10 basis points, dropped 12 today. That's deflation.
Yeah.
Inflation is always going to be here. There's always that potential for something to go higher.
Yeah.
It's when it goes lower, you cannot defend against it.
Right. So that's why you need more easing to give the illusion that you're trying to save things and prop things up.
Well, their only choice is to raise.
Right.
And they should have did it yesterday. Never mind Monday.
Yeah. So
they should have did it and that was the virus scare that they had, because if you looked at the VIX at that time, I think it was up to like 80 points. But it was on fire, and they had to do something, so they just shut it down and tried to figure out how they can get money back into the economy and not blow this thing up. But the only thing that you can do is go back to what the original God had set up, which was no currency whatsoever. Anytime you add something to what the natural God has done, it's going to fail.
No, 100%. But yet,
so that's why we need to take things. This thing's going to fail. Bitcoin's going to fail. All that stuff is going to fail eventually. We just got to be patient enough.
That's going to be hard to do, because along with that patience comes a deterioration of the society around us. So sitting around and trying to be patient while things unravel, because once again, whether we like it or not, the current monetary world order makes things flow as far as trade, commerce, credit, logistically, all that good stuff like that. So ain't gonna be no sit around.
These are the times it's gonna try man's soul.
Oh, 100%.
And we've seen the best times. So for the next 30, 50, 75 years, it's going to be the worst of times, and we need to prepare for that. We need to get our children prepared and our children's children, but we need to let them know what happened at COVID-19 so it doesn't happen to their kids' kids.
Yeah. Well, hey, man.
And they can get prepared from there, because they did us in once. They told my grandmama she was a slave on a boat, but when I asked my grandma about slavery, she didn't have nothing to say about it. So who am I to believe?
Right.
Oh, the other thing is, I'm gonna let you go.
Yeah.
Gold. I am starting to turn around my opinion on gold, even though it's going up and doing whatever it's doing today. I think gold is a deflationary hedge more so than an inflationary hedge. Because, sure, it's going up today. Sure, it's going up for the last 2 weeks. But if you go and look at the history, when there was a downturn in a major downturn in the currency and the switch over in currency, gold was the one that backed it up and started the new.
Yeah.
So that tells me that gold in a deflationary stance is more prevalent to grow than in an inflationary stance.
Hey, we'll see, man. But let's get some more calls in. As always, I appreciate you, man.
Good talking at you. Thanks for the time.
Yep.
Bye.
Hello, caller. Where are you calling from?
Hi, Mike. How are you?
Doing well. Who am I speaking with?
This is John from Nogales, Arizona.
John from Arizona. What's going on, John?
This is going to be very short.
Okay.
I just want to remind everybody to have extra water, food, and perhaps some ammo around for our future upcomings. That's all I wanted to say, sir.
Yeah, 100%. So get your lead up, get your water, get your H2O up, get your calories up, get your weight up, get your spiritual game intact. So yeah, we got a lot of that, man. Appreciate you for reminding us.
10th floor, sir.
All right, be good.
Later.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. So speaking of what TB was talking about, I guess this could be some good news, depending on how you want to look at it. Because I forgot to mention this earlier, but there's been some updates to the progression of the rebranded version of the digital dollar. It says Project Hamilton takes its first run at modeling a digital dollar. So save you guys the headache. The MIT and the Federal Reserve have been working around the clock trying to make sure that they can make sure that you don't lose everything when the system goes belly up. But, if you just type in this article here, you'll get all the full shebang. But there's been 2 test models, and one of them was a distributed ledger technology based, mimicking the cryptocurrency style thing with all that stuff. And transaction wise, it's been able to process, I think, 1700 a second or something like that. And it's not turning out too well. But phase 1, or the one that's looking more promising, which is the most problematic one, is the one that is not open source, has nothing to do with mimicking the decentralized space. It's a private version. It sits on a single ledger, Federal Reserve ledger, yada, yada, yada. It's able to transact 1.7 million or something like that, I read in a previous article, per second. It says, it's about like 170,000 transactions per second, the crypto style one. Whereas in the more faster one, says the other design was faster and could process 1.7 million transactions per second. So you got the crypto style one, and you got the new centrally controlled one that's closed, no privacy, no this. And it talks about interoperability, no privacy, whatever, all that type of crap. So it looks like the CBDC is making progress according to the way they want to spin this. But as I said before, it's already done, waiting to be rolled out. But they need that ultimate, Armageddon style collapse in order to offer it as a solution that people will be more than happy to accept when the banking event that we just talked about occurs, and bail-ins take place, and everything that you thought was yours, we find out the other word. So once again, giving it dial back. Appreciate everybody for hanging out with me and sharing their 2 cents. But Monday, emergency meeting, as well as the Federal Reserve, not the Federal Reserve, but the Biden administration talking about the need to, over the weekend, Ukraine ramps up Ukraine warning, says Russia may invade in days. So they're trying to paint this picture that Putin's getting impatient. Within the next 48 to 78 hours, he's going to possibly invade. So Fed meeting, Russian invasion, bank stress tests are ripe conditions for some type of, it's going to be a hell of a week next week, possibly. So we'll have to wait and see. But in the meantime, take advantage of the next couple of days, do a little bit extra. All the things you need to do to brace for impact: lead, food, wait, you know how we do it. So other than that, do the best you can, and definitely pray for wisdom and guidance. That God will definitely keep you right where you're supposed to be at in your lane, because in your lane is where God wants you to be, so that your daily needs, your daily provision will be provided for you. And of course, on top of that, remembering to be grateful for what we do have at this current moment. Mind you, if you're tuned in, if you're awake and aware, you're already extremely blessed because you're ahead of the majority. So that's something definitely to be grateful for no matter what. But anyway, with that being the case, be blessed, be safe, be back at it again Monday. It's going to be a hell of an edition on Monday because we'll have a lot to talk about. But anyway, be blessed, be safe. And also, invite family, friends to join the community so more people can plug in with us, join the Discord, join the Telegram group throughout the weekend, hang out with one another. It's always good to be amongst like-minded individuals. So stay connected. All the information you need for the community is down below. Be blessed, be safe. See you guys later. Peace. Visit Rethinking the Dollar throughout the day, your place for news on metals, gold, crypto, you name it. Scroll down to the bottom and you'll get a chance to see the daily videos, the recommended videos, and more importantly, the 5 reasons to unplug from the monetary matrix, with the first one being the awakening period. Step number 1, test your dollar IQ. 10 simple questions, average is 60%, follow up with the alternative perspective with the monetary reports. Consider becoming a supporter of the Rethinking the Dollar platform via Patreon. Get a chance to hang out off air as well as additional information that can't be discussed on YouTube. Any support is helpful. With the crackdown on alternative media, the best thing to do is to connect off air. Scroll down to the very bottom. You can find Rethinking the Dollar on Telegram, audio, Facebook, Twitter, Parler, you name it. The most important ones will be the email list where you can get notified weekly, the Discord page, and make sure you connect on Telegram. And last, don't forget to visit the RTD store where you can get merchandise as well as additional information and resources. And most importantly, scroll down to the bottom and get your weight up with all the limited edition rounds only available on the RTD store.